Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery, where transformation meets action. I'm Eugene Holden. I'm one of your guides on this journey of personal growth, mindset shifts, and deep self-awareness. Each episode, we dive into the tools, wisdom, and strategies you need to break through limitations and step into your highest potential. No fluff, no shortcuts here, just real conversations, practical insights, and a community dedicated to mastery in every area of life. So, if you're ready to unlock your power, elevate your mindset, and create a life by design, then let's get started. Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Welcome to the deep end. Welcome everybody to another episode of Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Obviously, I am Eugene Holden, and I am one of your hosts in this beautiful platform called the Academy of Self-Mastery. And this month, I have the lovely, the beautiful, the powerful, the wise Reverend Charin Barone. Hello
Woohoo!
there, Sharon.
Hello.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get her to be more excited about life, but it's a work in progress. And that's sarcasm, folks, because Sharon loves life and she makes sure that people know it. So before we went live, Sharon, we were speaking about you brought up, I think, a beautiful, powerful topic about cause and effect, and how our word is the cause of effect, and how our thinking also is the cause or part of that cause and effect. And we're going to get into something to switch that around, but let's just talk about that cause and effect thing. What does that mean for you? Hmm.
Well, for me personally, I'm a talkative person, as you all know, and I know that words are powerful, and I know that we create onto that, and always remember that, I in growing up in that old Baptist church, I love to sing. I was a pretty good singer. My mom was a great singer. But I always thought louder was better in singing.
Mm.
I and so she came to me and so I was doing a solo. I was probably I don't know, 9 or 10, and it was this big Sunday school thing. And I was doing a solo. And my mom was there, and I thought I had forgotten the word. The words were, "I'll tell the world that I'm a Christian. I'll tell the world." And I looked out at my mom, and I was paralyzed. I thought, "Oh my God, I forgot the words here." And then she mouthed, "I'll tell the world." And then I remembered how powerful words are. And because she loved me so much and she was supporting me, she was cause to the effect that I could remember the
Mm.
words, and that, to not be paralyzed up there in my mind of, I have the note, I know the notes, I have the notes right, but where are the words? So that reminded me of how just that one, years ago, obviously, but we are cause to our effect in the words that we say. And I want to work mindfully every day, not only the words that I say to myself, but also to other people. What words am I saying, or what energy am I carrying behind the words that I am saying? So, I feel like it is a really important time. It's always an important time in our world, but particularly in this time that we are living in, that to be mindful. Our words are powerful. Our words are powerful. Our energy is powerful. And I think if we can lead, not I think, I'm going to change that. I believe that if we can lead with our kindness first, then and put words around that, then it becomes more habitual. And then we have the effect of kindness. Eugene, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Here we go. I
Okay.
put my mic on mute. Um,
Okay.
and I love what you're saying. And I want to take cause and effect to a different. I'm going to go down a slightly different path, and we'll come back to what you're
Hmm.
saying, because what you're saying
Hmm.
is so powerful, right? And so when it comes to pause, when it comes to cause and effect, sometimes we need to pause because of the cause. Um, we are used to looking at it in a certain perspective, and that's from what I say, the view of being hypnotized. For example, when I say this, you will react in a certain way, right? So when people say to kids, especially, God, you are so stupid, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that kid believes that they've been hypnotized by those words. Or in relationships, when someone does something, I may feel a certain way. Right. So now what that makes me is a victim to the cause and effect. In other words, something happens out there and
Hmm.
we respond emotionally in here. Now,
Hmm.
that's just one way of looking at cause and effect. The person or the situation causes us to feel a certain way. The thing about that, though, is when we are in that type of cause and effect, we are giving away our power,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We are playing victim,
Hmm.
right? And for example, I mean, even with what's going on around the world today, with all that's going on around the world today, we hear something in the news, and it can cause us to feel a certain way.
Yes.
Right? Or, it can cause we have this effect of that we're angry or disappointed or saddened or whatever, or whatever. But the point that I want to make is that that's still giving away our power to outside forces,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. Yeah. So we want to shift
So
that. Go ahead.
yeah, so link that, Eugene, for all of us. Link that to, so let's say, I'll use your example of the news, and it causes us it causes us to feel angry or sad, and then we respond to that. How do we take that input that came in that caused us to
Mm,
be really angry? How do we take, because that's a cause in our life, right?
hmm
So how do we take that cause, and if we don't want to be angry, how do we turn it around so we don't go out in the world and be angry over that cause that really had nothing to do with us?
Right, right. And it's interesting, and I will get to the answer there, right? But it's interesting, right? So whatever happened out there that has caused us to be angry, and then we go out into the world angry. Now we're causing, right, from a place of anger, some other effect. So it's this rippling
Mm-hmm.
of effect, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how do we shift that, right? And the first thing, and when you were speaking about, and when that question came up, the thing that came up for me, Sharon, was acceptance, right? Let me accept that this is what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean I have to like it,
Can you
right?
tell by my reaction?
Right, right. That doesn't mean
Yes.
that I have to like it, you know, but I'm accepting that this is what's going on. Why? Because this is what's going on. Me
Because it's the
being,
truth of the moment, you mean? That,
it's let me put it this way. It is the fact of the moment,
oh,
because
not the
fact is
truth, but the
because
fact.
yeah, because fact is not always truth.
Correct.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
So the fact is this is what's going on.
Hmm.
So let me accept that this is what's going on. And because what causes me to be upset is there's a level of non-acceptance. This is
Ah.
unacceptable. This is
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
that's what I love. That's why I love that phrase. There's no sense in crying over spilled milk. My getting upset, my crying over the spilled milk doesn't keep the milk from spilling. It's already done. So
Literally, in this most literal sense. Yes.
right. It's already spilled. There's no sense in crying over spilled milk. It's already spilled. Okay, so me crying over it, me getting upset over it isn't going to change the fact that it's spilled, right? So
Mhm,
let me
mhm,
accept that it's spilled. Now what do I want to do about it? That's what's in my power. So
mhm,
with things that are going on that cause us upset or discouragement or disenchantment, right? Or just sadness and pissosity and all of those things that have come from the outside that's causing me to feel, or well, I
mhm,
say that are causing me to feel, ooh, really? I say that are causing me to feel these things. They're not really causing that. It's how I am choosing to take that. So how do I shift that? Again, going
mm,
back to
mhm,
acceptance. Let me accept what's going on. And this is what's going. Can you believe this is going on? Well, yeah, I can believe it because it's going on. Can you believe that that milk spilled? Yeah, because it spilled, right?
mhm,
Now let
mhm,
me accept it. And
mhm,
then once we accept it, now we are in a position we are taking our power back.
mhm,
Okay, now who do I need to be in this situation? Because, and once I answer that question, that answer informs what is mine to do.
mhm, mhm,
Right. And I've been speaking about that a while now. Let me, my the first question for me is not what's mine to do, it's who am I to be?
mhm,
Because once first of all, let me be accepting of what's going on. Okay, now how do I want to respond, not react? How do I want to respond? And and then now I'm back at choice point.
mhm,
I can be this. I can be upset if I want to be. Okay, cool, cool. How is that going to change what's going on in my life? Right? Because I can't change the world per se. I can change my world, and that will have an effect as it starts to filter out or to vibrate out.
mhm,
But I
mhm.
want to I want to start where I am here, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm hearing, Eugene, it is from working with you as a practitioner and then doing a year of the Academy of Self Mastery podcasts, we
Wow.
always end up in the same place,
Yep.
meaning it's right here. Because I remember it was such a valuable moment for me personally, way back when I was struggling with something, and you said you said exactly what you just said. So you have to accept it as what, if that's the reality, the milk is spilled. Now, what do we do next? Because what we do next, how we feel about it, informs us of what we do next. And I never thought about it like that way. Our
Hmm.
emotions, our feelings, they inform us. They inform us. Am I going to love in this moment, or am I going to just be like, I don't know, Joe Blow down the street and angry all the time and all of that? What are my feelings informing me to be and how to behave, and how do I want to be in this world? How
Right.
do I want to be? So
Right.
powerful.
And here's the thing about that, right? Because then I have choice. I can choose to stay pissed off. I can
Yeah.
choose to feel upset. But the thing about that though is being, upset about it on a continual basis affects the physical body.
Hmm.
And the emotional body. And nobody wants to be around a person who is always upset and always complaining about what's going
Mm-mm.
on.
Mm-mm.
Nah, man,
Mm-mm.
nah.
And then we
Now,
only have ourselves to blame for that. You know what I mean? If I'm angry all the time, I only have myself because I'm responsible for my feelings and what I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And here's the sad part about that, Sharon, is a lot of people, and I was one, are just not aware that I have that responsibility and or the power to shift that.
Yeah. Yep.
you
Thank
know?
goodness for the Academy of Self-Mastery, because this is what we learn here, because it
Yeah.
is self-mastery.
Yeah, it really is, you know. And going to Dr. Ernest Holmes, the creator of Science of Mind and Spirit, or religious science, or that beautiful philosophy, one of his quotes was that there is a power in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. Now, here's the thing, right?
Mhm. Mm.
Here's a couple of things around about that. Just that there's a power in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. Here's the thing: is we are always using it,
Mhm.
because it's that power of creation. Now, he has said many times that there's a power for good in the universe, greater than I am, and I can use it. And I looked at that. There's a power for good. Well, then if there's a power for good, then there might be a power for bad. And it's not that at all. It's just a power.
It's just a power.
It's
And
just a
I'm
power.
reminded of the words of Jesus when he said, because he knew that he knew he was dealing with that power. And he said, "And greater work shall ye do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, my paraphrase on that, because
Yeah.
there's something that comes prior to that line there, right? And my paraphrase is this: why are you all tripping off of what I'm doing? Why do you marvel over what I'm doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Greater works than these ye shall. I mean, you can do these works in greater works. I mean, and we've
Hmm.
been doing greater works. Look, we're on technology.
Hmm.
You're on the West Coast.
Hmm.
I'm on the East Coast. We're 3,000 miles away. So the greater works have been going on. The work in doctors have been doing some great work over the years. You know,
Yeah.
um, so we have been doing those works. So again, he says, why do you marvel over the things that I do? You can
Hmm.
do these things in greater things ye should do
Hmm. Hmm.
when you believe.
Yeah. Yeah. When you believe. Hmm.
When
When
you
you believe.
believe that you can. So going back to Dr. Holmes' statement, there is a power in the universe greater than I am, greater than we are, and we are always using it. He says we can use it, but we are always using it, even when I am going, God, I will never be successful. That power goes, all right,
Hmm.
Captain, your wish is my
Hmm.
command, because it is always answering
Hmm.
us in the affirmative.
Yes.
It is
Hmm.
always saying yes. Even when I'm saying, oh man, this will never work. Yes, you're right. Here you go. But that's the power that we have.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now, because we have that power, let's be the cause of our effects. It's interesting, right? Where quantum physics has been proving what mystics have been saying for centuries, that
Hmm.
we are surrounded by infinite possibilities. Quantum physics is saying, that there are so many, that there's infinite possibilities, and when we put our mind, and it's called the observer effect. And when we put our minds on something in our mind's eye, we can see that parking space, that parking place, and we see it and we feel it. There's something, there's a power out there, right? That because you're focusing on it with feeling, and you can feel
Hmm.
you driving in to that space. You can feel the car pull up. You can see it. You can feel it. And so what happens, as quantum physics says, that it collapses, that all of those infinite possibilities collapse to bring into manifestation what your desires are,
Because that's
which
how
is
powerful it is.
that's how powerful we are,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, not it.
right?
Yeah, we. That's right. We bring it
Yeah,
home. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
There's so many folks who have talked about this throughout the years, right? So what we want to do is to be the cause of our effect. Now, that causes us to really step into in what am I trying to say here? Step into and accept who we really are as deliberate creators.
Hmm. That's the operative word right there. Deliberate.
Yeah.
Deliberate creators.
Deliberate creators. What do I want to experience in my life? Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love this. That I am the affirmation is I am the creator of my destiny.
Hmm.
The other affirmation that he brought forth was my energy creates my reality. I love that. Think about that, Sharon. In
Hmm.
in your life, how many times has your energy created your reality in that moment, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So we
Yeah.
are going from cause and effect to causing an effect.
Hmm. I like how you segued so beautifully in that, Eugene, that we are that yes, we're cause to our effect, but we are the operative word again is the causing. It is the causing, and the causing is done by the way that we're believing, thinking, behaving, acting. That it is causing our effect, and that reminds me personally, and I'm sure it's true for other people as well, we must always be mindful of
Yeah.
who we are in that moment, whether we're
Yeah.
stepping off a sidewalk or
Yeah.
at the grocery store, putting gas in our car, to be mindful in that moment because those mindful moments create our next. Mm, If I'm not mindful, let's say I'm at the gas station, and if I'm not mindful and I leave my credit card there, what happens?
Mm-hmm.
It's that I create another effect of, oh,
Mm-hmm.
now I have to go, all of that. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it is remembering to be mindful in every moment, no
Yeah.
matter if I want to or not. Because I'm like
Right.
blah, 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 I'm like all over the plate, but I have to remember, okay, just slow down and be mindful,
Right.
Sharon.
Right.
Literally and figuratively, one step at a time.
Right. And being aware of that, so when I hear you say mindful, to me, that's the same as being aware, and being aware of what I'm doing every
Hmm.
single moment of the day. Now, people, I know, folks, you might say, God, that's hard. That's hard to do. And my response to that is hard to do is if you say so.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
And so it will be.
Right? If I say it's going to be hard, well then, okay, aye, Captain, that
Mhm.
universal presence, call it whatever, goes to law, goes to work to prove me right.
Yeah. Causing
So
again, right there.
yeah,
Causing.
exactly. We can't
Hmm.
help but to cause, right?
Hmm.
Here, we can't help but to cause what's going on in our lives because we are creators
Hmm.
naturally. You've heard me say this before. People say we always have a choice. Yeah, we always do, except for in one thing for me, right? In one place where we don't have a choice. We can't help but to create.
Good idea. Yeah. Powerful
We are
identification.
always creating
Hmm.
something. Now that's why I say let's become, I'm going to add this word, aware, deliberate creators.
Okay, say it again.
I want to
Oh,
be we aware, deliberate creators. Let me be aware of what I want to create deliberately
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because there's a power greater than I am that I get to use. So let me
mm-hmm.
use it for my highest and best. And what's highest and best for me must be highest and best for you and everyone else around me.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah,
Amen. Yeah.
where human species gets in to trouble is like, okay, well, I want what you have. So let
Mm-hmm.
me
Mm-hmm.
take it,
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I like this cause that we are causing to deliberately we are causing me and all of us, whether we know it or not, whether we're mindful of it, or aware of it, we are deliberately causing the effects in our life.
Right.
So I say where that leaves us, Eugene, is that it's reflective back into us to be. Well, for me, I always start out my day, as you know, in prayer and meditation and doing and all of that. That reminds me that to be mindful, to be aware that I'm creating it. And then, I have a list. I have a list of things that I want to buy this or I need to get that and then later I look at that after I'm through with all my meditating and all of that. I look at that list and then I say, what is it today that I really need to do? Am I going to
Mm,
hurry up and go buy it just because I want it, or is it really a need? And I think
hmm.
that allows us to really be responsible in our lives, to be these aware, deliberate uh, creators, to create what we want, whether it's a relationship or a new car, but to be deliberate about it because we are going to be living the cause of our effects.
Yeah. 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 And even if in relationship, right? Well, how do I want to be in this relationship? Let me
Hmm.
be let me be loving and let me be supportive, but not just in that relationship, but in all the other relationships and everything. And whenever we come into contact with someone, we're in relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yes. Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. I love playing around with this stuff. My energy creates my reality. So there's a Dunkin' donut store not too far away, from me.
Hmm.
Yes, and every once in a while I'll go and get, a medium cup of coffee, two and two cream, two sugar, and two sour cream donuts. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
And when I walk in, I'm singing, as you know, all of the time. And I'm like, hey, how are you doing today? So my energy creates my reality, meaning that now when I walk in, people behind the counter smile, hey, Eugene. Or they may not even know my name. Hey, how are you today? And now they've lit up, right? It's
Yes.
because my energy creates my reality. And the reality that I want to experience in that relationship is one of
Hmm.
joy.
Yeah, yeah.
We are always in relationship. Everything is related. We are related
Mhm.
to one another in some form or fashion, even if it's as basic as we all breathe the same freaking breath.
Yes, yes, I agree. And and we're in relationship. I'm going to take us back to kind of how we started out here. We are in relationship to the television or the news or however you get your feed.
Come on.
And yeah, we are in relationship with that. And there's always an off button or a delete button,
Come on.
depending depending how much do you want. For me, I don't want to be in relationship with negativity. So I hit mute or I turn it off or I um if it's with a person, I politely and literally move out of the way. I move
Yeah.
out of the room or, because I choose not to be in negativity. That
Right.
I choose not to have that in my life because I know that negativity breeds negativity and I'm not going to be taken down by it.
Right.
I am not.
Remember earlier, and then I was saying, cause and effect, is a form when it's coming from outside, when we are allowing it to come to us from outside, it's a form of hypnosis. So the
Mhm.
TV and the news and all of that. Now, I'm not saying, we want to stay informed with what's going on, right? Doesn't mean I have to watch the news all the time. Let me just, I can pick up little snippets here and there because people who watch it all the time, they're hypnotized to feel a certain way,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
right? They
Hmm.
are now victims to cause and effect. They're watching this stuff, and which is causing them to feel a certain way. Now their power is not with them, it's with that. Now we can listen to something, but still keep our power and go, okay, thank you for the information.
Hmm.
And I choose to be this way with that, which informs what's mine to do.
Once again. Yes, Eugene. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Sharon, before we leave today's episode, what would you like to leave the people with around
I
this?
would I would say this, that there is within us this powerful knowingness of joy and love and gratitude and grace, and ju just having to, no, not having, getting to know that. So I would say be still every
Mm,
day. Whatever time works for you. I'm just the morning girl from South Dakota. That works for me. But whatever works for you, get real and be real in that time that works, and go within and remember that you were created in the image and likeness of love and of joy and
mm,
of such magnificence, and that you literally and figuratively have a divine right to create your life exactly the way that
yeah,
you want it to be.
yeah, yeah. In spite of the appearances. Yeah.
Amen.
Beautiful, Sharon. Beautifully said. And the only thing that I would add, or that I'm going to say, what I want to leave folks with today is be aware that you are a deliberate creator. You are a creator naturally. So create deliberately. Yeah.
Amen.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Everybody, once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Eugene Holden's Academy of Self Mastery. Boy, we have a good time here. And we'll see you next time. And when share this, in fact, on your YouTube thing, subscribe and share it, Be a friend, tell a friend, share it with a friend. And we'll see you, my friend, next time. Peace and abundant blessings.